Hey friends, and welcome back to Stronger Every Day. As you can see, it's a little bit different here in the background. So you all kind of know this story, or if you don't, a quick rundown. My husband's been sick for almost 2 months now, and so we're still dealing with that, trying to confirm diagnosis, trying to do all the things that go along with that, and then me trying to kind of work, run the homestead, take care of him, take care of our four-legged kids and our two-legged chickens, all of those things. And so his setup is kind of where I normally would film the video, but it's easier for him to kind of stay in there. So sometimes I might be in here, just kind of depends on how he's feeling that particular day that I'm filming. So let's jump into the video today, and I wanted to talk about overcoming depression and anxiety. I've had a lot of questions lately about, I get what you're saying, but how do you overcome? And it's not a one-step process. For me, as someone who struggled with it for 27 years, it's never been a one-step process for me. It's never been just exercise or just a pill or just a therapist or talk, change your eating habits. It's never been just one thing that's helped. And we've talked in several videos, and I've told you that for me, for Chrissy, my doctor had discussed about the fact that the medicine is only going to help about 30%. So that's 70% that we still have to work on to get healthy mentally. And that's a lot. That's a huge gap there. So we've talked about that June of 2022, I just hit the floor and said, God, I can't take this anymore. Just bring me home. I don't want to be here. I can't do this. You've got to step in and do something. I'm done. I was done with life. I was done with everything. And what he said was, get up, talk about your story, dive deep in my words, study, pray, talk with me, spend time with me, read the Bible, learn everything you can, and then I want you to help people that are going through your same situation. And friends, if you think you're alone, you're nowhere near. There's millions and millions and millions of people who struggle with mental illness. I would dare to say at least half of those are Christian. You're not. It's, we all kind of put on that Sunday or Saturday or whatever day you worship, we all kind of put on that facade of, oh, everything's great, life's perfect, oh, we just float through on clouds every day. And while yes, some people's lives are a little bit easier than other people's, there's no denying that, no one that I know just floats through life and has no problems. I feel like we're embarrassed to talk about issues in the church today because it people assume that you have a lack of faith, or that you're not praying enough, you're not studying enough, you're not spending enough time with God. Your faith walk is lacking if you have issues, and that's not true. The disciples had things that happened to them. Jesus, people actively sought to kill him on a daily basis. You have trials and tribulations. I don't think I know Jesus's faith was never lacking at any point in his walk here on earth. Yet he still had trials and tribulations that came, and he showed us examples of how to handle those. So I have some videos. You can click on the box down below and it'll show you the videos in the past, but I wanted to touch just super quick on a few of those things that have made a huge difference and what I think has worked to help me get through this past almost 8 weeks of going through what our family is going through. So one of those is I was prepared, and I've talked about this in many videos. It's not that you wait till something happens. You wait till you're in that pit of despair and discouragement. You wait till you're at the point of harming yourself, that you then say, okay, wait a minute, let's lean on Jesus for once. That's not how it works. Now, he'll be there for you and he's going to help you out of that pit, but he's not a genie in a bottle. He's your best friend. And that's such a lacking term for what God really is. But I decided in June of 2022 that before anyone else, God was first. I've been a Christian for the whole 29 years that I've struggled with depression and anxiety. 27 years of that I've struggled. I've talked in a few videos that the past 2 years have been better. I don't consider that I've struggled with depression and anxiety. I still have moments, but I don't get into the pits and the depths that I was before. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this past coming up on 8 weeks has been close, but what's kept me out of that is that for 2 years I have dug deep into my relationship with God. I've put him 100% first, and everything else rotates around that instead of fitting him in my schedule. I've studied my Bible. I study my Bible. I listen to teachings. I read my Bible. There's a difference in reading and studying. I pray all the time. I say thank you to God in every little moment that I have the privilege of recognizing that he is in charge of, and that he's protected me or given me something or helped us through a certain situation. I talk to him all day long. He is the most important person in my entire life. That is what has got me through what's been going on in my family, and it's been a horrible 8 weeks. It's been my husband, who is healthy and fit and active and social butterfly and works hard every day, works hard at work, works hard at home, works hard in our community. We both volunteer for an agency here in our community, constantly on the go, constantly working, constantly up and about. Has went from, on a Wednesday, he was helping a friend of ours weed eat who had had some shoulder surgery, to that Sunday was unable to barely walk. He was hurting all over. He couldn't swallow. In the past six to 7 weeks, he's lost over 40 pounds. He's probably more than that now. We'll know Thursday when we go to the doctor. He can't lift his arms, won't go up past like chest area, probably not even that high. I had a health scare with, some of you might remember me talking about this. My mom and my grandmother both had breast cancer. Mom had breast, brain, and liver cancer. So I've been getting mammograms for years and years now. And I had come back from taking him to the hospital on, we went to the second hospital on a Friday, got back on a Monday. That was Memorial Day. Tuesday I walked into work. I work at a place that does imaging, and there was a spot on one of my breasts that we need additional views and ultrasound on. That spot's there. We're gonna watch it. Fairly confident that it's just a complicated cyst. And I'll be real honest, right now, I don't have the time to worry about it. I'm leaning into the doctors I work for. Obviously, I trust them or I wouldn't be there. And we're going to retest in 6 months. And if I change my mind anytime between now and then, we'll do a breast biopsy. But, you know, it's one thing after the other has been, well, we have this is going on with you. This is going on with you. As far as with Nick, it's been a roller coaster and a nightmare. Honestly, to see someone who is so healthy and so fired up about life and just doing everything and all the aspects in a matter of 4 days being able to do nothing. And we have acreage, we have lots of animals, it's a lot to take care of. I do think I might do a video on being a caregiver and just trying to figure out life as it is, but I'm not educated enough right now to talk about that. So it's just been a lot. Have I had bad moments? Of course, friends. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I haven't broke down in tears on multiple occasions, that I haven't cried myself to sleep on multiple occasions. I know that no matter what, even if it's an outcome that we don't want, that God is in control. I know that. But it's getting through the day-to-day. It's knowing that the outcome's going to happen the way God wants it, but that might not be the outcome that we're wanting. It might not be the diagnosis that we're praying for. It might not be that God just heals both of us without medical intervention. It might be that there's no medicine there to help, particularly in Nick's situation. We're still waiting for some tests to come back with him, but It's been a roller coaster. What has gotten me through that? And your thing may be completely different than medical. It may be you're just having a bad, you know, it's just the mental illness coming in on you for no really apparent reason you can pinpoint. It may be that you're struggling at work, you're struggling in school, you're struggling with your relationship, you're struggling with your kids, you're struggling with your spouse, you're struggling with whatever and all the things life brings. When that starts happening, yes, run to God. Yes, hit your studying and but have that. And I've talked about this before. When you're on your level, our level, my level, your level, and I mean mentally, when you're at your level, that's when you really want to dive deep and get that knowledge in you so that you can fight off discouraging moments, discouraging times, when you can fight off the devil attacking you, because he has been attacking me hard. Not only me, but Nick, with this is never going to get better. You're always going to be this way. Maybe it would just be better if you weren't here. It would be easier for your wife. I know Nick's talked about that, and that crushes me because I never wanted him to have thoughts like that you and I have had on many occasions, right? Never wanted him to experience that. And the devil is actively attacking him. What I have learned is that we are both stronger than we've ever been in our relationship with God. So we're able to fight that off easier. We're able to recognize that and say, no, God loves me. I'm a child of God. He's proud of me. He died for me. I've asked forgiveness for my sins. He's given that forgiveness freely. He no longer remembers those as far as the east is from the west. And so it's having that knowledge of God, that I'm loved, I'm cherished, I'm his daughter. You know, Nick's his son, that he loves us, that he's right here walking through with us. And I've told you just all the little things that have happened in this last 7-8 weeks that I know are God walking us through. I know different things. I would, you know, just for for instance, I was so hungry in the hospital and I didn't want to leave him to go to the cafeteria. We were in the ER in the hallway next to the trauma center. We had seen horrible traumas, 2 gunshot victims. And I didn't want to leave him. And the lady came around with the trays for everyone. And she said, I was just staring at the floor almost in a daze. And she just said, honey, I have an extra tray. Would you like something to eat? That's God. That's God working through her to help me. That's God protecting one of his children and giving them food. That's just one of the many instances that's happened. So let's touch briefly on some of those things that will help you with mental illness. First off, you have to let go of the guilt. You're a sinner. I'm a sinner. We're all sinners. We're all going to come short. We're all going to fail. God is always going to be right there with us. If we have a relationship with him, and I don't mean that you know God's name. I mean, you have a relationship with him. You've given your life to him. You know he's your Lord and Savior. You know he died and rose again. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about you know that his name. I know Dolly, right? I know who she is. I don't know her. I know of her, right? We don't have a relationship. So one of them is letting go of the guilt, just letting go of the stigma and all the crap that people throw at you. It's always interesting to me that our lives are typically in an uproar of some way, shape, or form, but yet we like to tell people how they should live theirs. Listen, I don't tell people how they should live their life. If they ask my opinion, I'll pray about giving a godly wisdom back to them, but I'm just trying to hold it together in the Hallam's household, right? Like I'm not trying to talk about how someone else should live their life. I've learned to let go of the stigma. If you think mental illness is a sin and that it's God punishing me, you're allowed to think whatever you want to think. What I focus on is my relationship with God and knowing that building that every single day, right? And people are going to have opinions about every single thing, not just mental illness, but every single thing you say, you do, you think, you look, you talk, you speak, all of it. They're going to have an opinion. Let it go. What matters is what God thinks. Another one, and I've talked about this in detail, is talk to someone. If you don't feel like you have a spouse, a mom, a dad, a best friend, a whoever that you can talk to about it, talk to a counselor. There's even the 988. You can dial star 988 or text star 988 and talk to someone on the hotline. Talk. The devil loves it when we withdraw, when we withdraw within ourselves, and then the only thing we have in our mind, if you don't have a good, godly, biblical background, is the devil telling you all of the crap. You're worthless, you're nothing, your friends and family would be better off without you. You're a burden, you're a horrible person, no one likes you, you're always bringing people down, you just need to give it up. You just need to do what you need to do and no longer be here, right? When we let those be the only thoughts that we hear, that's not good, friends, and that's exactly what the devil wants you to do. That's why I've said there's times when mentally I cannot read the Bible. I'm reading the Bible for me. I'm reading it to study and learn. God already knows the Bible. There's no, these people that, well, you should read it 30 minutes a day or 3 hours a day. That's not God setting that. That's people, right? But what I can do is I can listen to worship music, or I can listen to someone preaching or teaching on the Bible, and have those thoughts in my head versus what's going on in my head. Another one, and this is huge, it's pray and draw close to God. Even if the only thing that you can do is repeat Jesus, Jesus, Jesus over and over. I have fallen asleep many nights just repeating his name to get all of the crap thoughts out of my head. Now, 2 years later, I can recognize those coming and I can start fighting them off. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm exhausted right now. I'm beyond exhausted. There's not a word for what I feel. There's a lot going on, and time's just not your friend right now. So what's helped me is knowing that I already have a lot of that knowledge in me, and so a lot of times I'll fall asleep listening to someone teach, just to kind of shut my mind off and clear all the junk, clear all the even some of the reality of the day-to-day that's going on, get all of that out of my mind. Find out who you are in Christ, and this is important because this helps you fight off the junk thoughts. You're not just someone's spouse, you're not just your position in the company. You're not just a deacon, just a writer, just a chef, just a police officer, just a lawyer, just a jailer, just a janitor, just the president. You're not just all of these things. You're a child of God. Finding out who you actually are. Those titles are not going to be there one day. And we get so wrapped up in that we forget who we actually are as a Christian and as a child of God. Another one is, as I've said this, it kind of touches on what I've talked about earlier, is don't isolate for long, right? So sometimes you need to just say, there's times I'll say, I'm just going to go, this is my comfort zone here, right? And there's times that I'll tell Nick, I'm just going to go in the bedroom for, just give me some time. And that might be 30 minutes, it might be 3 hours. But it's getting my mind, either sometimes it's just quiet. It's just sitting in the quiet and either praying or actively working on my mind to think positive thoughts. Sometimes it's reading, sometimes it's watching a YouTube video, sometimes it's watching a funny show on television, sometimes it's talking to a friend, all different things. But sometimes for me, when I struggle with depression and anxiety, I need to get away from everything. There's a lot of stimulation throughout the week at work, and so sometimes I need to get away from everyone and everything and just recharge my battery. There's nothing wrong with that. What happens when we struggle with mental illness is we tend to isolate for days, weeks, months. And again, we're just with our own thoughts, and it's always those crap thoughts that we're listening to and hearing on repeat because we've isolated everyone else out. So that's a big one for me. Shift your focus, right? So instead of thinking about, so for me, for my situation right now, we'll use me as an example. I try not to think about waiting on a test to come back or waiting on a diagnosis. I try to educate myself on things that are going on, but I also try to think about other things. Even if it's just, this sucks and there's no way around that, but God's in control. Let that attempt to control things go, and know that no matter what the situation, what the diagnosis, what the, you know, if you lose your job or whatever, no matter what is coming, that God is ultimately in control and he's going to see you through to the other side of it. It's focusing on instead of saying this is too hard, it's too much, I can't do this. It's not denying reality. It's saying this is a lot, God. It's a lot that is on me right now, but I know you're going to walk me through. I know that you're going to keep me strong. I know that you're going to help our family through this. I know that when I'm exhausted, you're going to make little ways that lighten that load. It's shifting that focus where you're not just constantly thinking of all the bad and all the negative. You're not denying that that's there because it's truth, but you're shifting your focus to what you can do and what you can change and what you can make better, right? Versus what you're completely in uncontrol of. I can't know, you know, how long it's going to take to get in with a specialist. I don't know how long it's going to take to get a test back. I don't know why it takes so long for A, B, C, and D. But I can change my focus and know that God's using the exact right people to touch every blood work, every tissue biopsy, every chest x-ray, every CT, every MRI, that God's using the right people to read all those results, and he's using the right people to deliver that news to us. And he's taking somebody who's having a bad day and it might really damage coming across to us, and he's grabbing someone else and bringing them in the room for us. So it's shifting your focus. Checking your priorities. Nick and I have talked about this a lot the past 2 days. Some of our priorities, I feel like God always lets you know when it's time to walk into something, and he lets you know when it's time to walk away from something. And we've talked about this for a while. The job I had for the first 9 years that I moved here, God had lifted me from that job after 5 years. And I didn't have enough faith and trust to know that God would provide no matter what. And I would not walk away from that job for 4 more years. And it was a miserable experience. And by miserable, I mean on multiple occasions, I wanted to drive my car into a ditch or into a tree. I didn't want to be there. I struggled all the time. I was probably at my worst with depression and anxiety. Because I wouldn't listen to God. And then even when I left that job, I clearly heard him say, I want you. He hadn't told me about this channel and this direction and trying to help people like me that struggle, but he had told me to take time off. And I did that my way, right? We have some friends, they own a lot, and they own some car washes, and so I would go up there and clean for 3 to 4 hours a day. So I kind of did the part-time thing, and then I found a full-time job that I thought I would really enjoy. I didn't pray about it, didn't ask about it. Now let me be clear, I love that job. I love the people let me be clear, I love the people that are there. We still go there all the time, but I was never called to be there. When I applied for the job I have now, I talked to Nick about it. I talked to God about it. I actively prayed, if this is not your will, don't just lose my resume. Don't even let them get it. Not only did they get it, but they offered me 2 positions there. And I can feel God every single day that I'm there. It's checking what your priorities are. You know, it's being able to say no when you need to say no, and saying yes when you need to say yes. It's changing priorities. There's a game on my phone. There's nothing wrong with the game. It's just like a little, I don't even know how to say it. It's just a game on my phone. But I would find myself on that game for way longer than I had ever imagined. and all the things I could have done with that time. And so periodically I'll go and just take the game off my phone. Now sometimes I'll go back to it, like if we're in the hospital and I need something to distract my mind, I will go back to that. But it's checking your priorities. Exercise. And friends, I think people get most sick of hearing this one. It's not just the physical running, hiking, jogging, weight training, HIIT training. Those are all great and those are all good. It's, you know, for us, it's a lot of, we do have a treadmill, so I'll walk on the treadmill. Nick and I are trying to walk a little bit as he gets strength. Sometimes it's just to the mailbox and back. It's having a farm, having a homestead, and knowing that I've got a ton of chores to do, and my, you know, getting your heart rate up and active. It's doing all the things, right, that we don't necessarily think about, but it's crucial to get those endorphins. Whatever you enjoy, whether it's swimming, whether it's gardening, whether it's power cleaning the house 3 or 4 times a week, whether it's going to the gym, you know, doing whatever, hiking, biking, whatever that might look like. But it's very important. It helps clear your mind. It helps get your energy going, get your system going, get those endorphins going, which are all good things. Some people are limited in what they can do. Maybe it's Tai Chi, maybe it's yoga, whatever that looks like for you. But it is crucial to do that. And that's one thing that I've really fallen off the wagon. We didn't do a garden this year. We were getting ready to do the garden, and then this kind of happened. So no garden this year. I wouldn't have time for it anyway, but just getting in some form of physical activity versus just coming home and crashing on the couch. Your eating habits, and I've told you in a video before that mine have fallen off the wagon. I feel like, I jokingly said I feel like I have worms because I feel like I'm wanting to eat all the time. It's clearly stress eating. And it's never good things. It's never good things for you. It's, you know, at the hospital, you're kind of limited on what you can get. And then just trying to run and go 24/7, you're just kind of grabbing snacky type foods. It's rare that, you know, we do have meals throughout the week, but it's not the kind of meals we were used to pre him getting sick. But food's a huge thing. And then accepting what you're going through and don't sweep it under the rug. I think as a society today, that's a big one. Everybody wants to sweep everything under the rug. Suck it up, buttercup. Get over it. You know, don't be dramatic. You don't need to be dramatic, but you don't need to sweep things under the rug. That's one thing that Nick and I have done quite a bit with this, is we just, because there's so many unknowns, we don't talk a lot about what's going on. We do, you know, how are you feeling, what do you need kind of conversations. And this past weekend we sat down and kind of had to talk about that, about this is reality, and we need to figure out, you know, do we need to start hiring somebody to do some of these projects around our farm, around our homestead, or, you know, what's our future going to look like, and how long can you ask people to help, right? Because they have lives and responsibilities and things going on. So it's just accepting what you're going through, and finding not necessarily happiness, because happiness and joy are the same thing, but knowing that you have the joy of the Lord in you if you're a Christian. It's one of the fruits of the Spirit, and knowing that that's still in you despite what you're going through, and just trying to come on the other side of that. So I hope these help. You know, I've talked before that my particular illness is major depression disorder and anxiety. There's over 200 mental illnesses. I can't possibly talk on all of those. I'm not educated enough, and I've never went through the majority of those. I've went through 2 of the over 200, right? So, you know, a lot of people reach out about a particular illness that they have, and I'm not educated enough to talk about that. What I talk about is what I know and what I've dealt with for 29 years, which is major depression disorder and anxiety. And as I say that, I've actually dealt with it longer than that because my mom struggled with it. But yeah, so I hope this video helps. I hope maybe some of these kind of recap videos will help those that maybe are newer to the channel, or if you just need a reminder. Kind of reading over these, I have a notebook kind of beside me, kind of reading over these today, I was like, yeah, that's good. That's a good one. You know, yeah, you know, you kind of fallen off the wagon on that. You need to get back, you know, you need to get back on that. So I end all of my videos this way. It's always my hope and heart that you feel this. I've said in many videos, if you just need to skip to the end, you're not going to hurt my feelings. Just skip to the end. I end every video this way. God loves you. I love you. Your family loves you. Your friends love you. And we need you here. We'll see you in the next one, friends. Bye.